Love is a funny thing to define, Ruth told the court at the first trial. And in the end, Mo served only a year of his sentence. He and Ruth never saw each other again. This was the hardest point in Ruth's life, but the hits just kept coming. Merle's first wife, Alma Alderman, sued Ruth for $150,000, claiming she had broken up her marriage. However, she lost the case several months later. Once the decision was handed down, Ruth disappeared from show business, selling the Beverly Hills house and moving to Colorado Springs to be with Merle and his family. And the worst hit of all was the death of Edith Snyder when she died of complications of rheumatic fever in 1939. During the next 7 years, Ruth made only one appearance at a World War II rally for war bonds in New York. Shortly after the war's end, listeners to Rudy Valley's weekly radio show were surprised to hear a familiar voice. Ruth had decided to return to the business, but only because doctors had suggested that Merle go back to writing and playing music as part of his recovery from wartime injuries. In 1947, she opened at the Coco Cabana in New York, and Time featured her in an article which reminded readers that Ruth Etting had once been the nation's leading torch singer, rivaled only by Helen Morgan. The reviews of her Copa act were respectful, with Variety reporting that, quote, her figure is still svelte and her song selling effective if, at times, she wisely skirts the top notes.
We'll bring love's dreams, we'll be cuddling soon by the silvery moon.
But after trying out the business again for 2 years, Ruth knew she'd been right to leave it in 1937 and returned to a quiet life in Colorado Springs. After the film Love Me or Leave Me, based on her years with Mo Snyder, was released in 1955, Ruth refused a 5-figure contract to return to singing and even decided not to sue the producers of the film, though unhappy with Doris Day's portrayal of her to avoid any further publicity. After Merle's death in 1966, she made only one public appearance, returning to David City, Nebraska in 1973 for the town's centennial celebrations. Shortly after, she moved into a retirement home.
All of me, why not take all of me?
Quote, my sad story is that my first marriage wasn't a marriage at all. It was a mistake, she told a reporter who visited her there. After reminiscing briefly about the old days, she seemed tired, and the reporters turned to go. But she had one final thought for him.
Take my arms, I'll never use them.
If I had my life to do over again, I would never go into show business, she said.
Oh, how can I go on, dear, without you? You took a part that once was my heart, so why not take all of me?
Ruth died peacefully in her sleep on September 24th, 1978. Her death date is important. In November 1978, I was born.